Okay, good morning.
Morning.
David?
Yeah, Mike, can you just talk about what stands out to you about Denver and what it does offensively and what you need?
Well, I think the biggest thing is when we break down an uncommon opponent is, the personnel. I mean, this is a very athletic, perimeter group, big targets, a lot of contested catches, reminds you a little bit of the Chargers, as far as their makeup. Pat Shermer's someone that's done it for a long time, so there's, concepts that kind of travel with him. But it's an offense that has the ability to be explosive. Teddy's doing a really good job of completing the football. I mean, I think he's right at 70%. So two really good running backs. So it'll be a challenge.
Will Dak do any team drills?
I'm sorry?
Will Dak take any 11-on-11 work?
Yeah, Dak will practice today. Yep, team periods.
Can we safely assume he'll for sure play, barring some kind of setback?
I hope the plan is for him to practice and play.
What about Amari today? Will he be limited again? Or
I'll put him in a limited, just, get him out there and go through the individual and see how that goes.
Did CD have an ankle that popped up in practice? Or?
Yes, he had an ankle sprain, so he'll be limited today.
Mike, from the game?
No, practice, I say. Yeah.
Mike, with Tyron's injury, is this something that you guys feel like at this point just rest will hopefully calm it down?
I mean, rest is part of it. I think he'll definitely be, challenged this week. But once we get past this, I'm not looking at this as a long-term injury at all.
Not asking you to give too much away, but just what did the combinations look like yesterday? However y'all decided to handle
Looks
that.
good. Guys practice well, so I think that the ability to get through the different position capabilities of what's ahead of us. But yeah, I thought the line work was good. We didn't do a whole lot. We were only out there for 3 team periods, actually 2 team periods and a 7-on-7. So we'll do the full slate today, and this will give us a lot stronger indication where we are.
since this, like you say with Tyron, since this, you don't envision it being a long-term thing, how does that impact your decision on how you handle it? I mean, is it different handling it for 1 week versus?
Yeah, good thought, but it didn't. I mean, we looked at the individuals that really where their reps were. How LC was repped in training camp and how the other linemen were repped in training camp. So this is more about the investment in footwork based off left side versus right side.
Mike, for a long time it seemed like the Cowboys couldn't establish any kind of home field advantage, but clearly more explosive and you're undefeated at home. What are the factors that have created that?
Well, a number of things. It's an incredible environment. Obviously, our players are extremely comfortable there, and the way you should be with your home field advantage. But it's definitely an emphasis. It's something that we did not accomplish last year, so that was duly noted in training camp. So we're off to a really good start. We had the 3-game sweep earlier. We got a 2-game homestand here, so it's definitely a focal point. I mean, the old saying in the NFL, win all your home games, split on the road, is obviously a pretty favorable position to be when tournament time comes around. So we talk about it, the week of the home game, we emphasize it. So we're looking for great crowds. Noon games are always fun. I think players and coaches really enjoy the noon games because you get up and get going, and then you get the victory and you have time with your family. So, I love the environment. The first 3 games, starting off with the Philadelphia game, the Monday night environment was incredible. So, nothing like AT&T Stadium.
You come from Green Bay, and certainly that home field advantage is legendary. The crowd, the Lambeau. I know in your visits to Dallas before and what you've seen this year, how would you compare the environment and the home field advantage with the Cowboys crowd at AT&T Stadium?
Well, I'll say this. Playing at AT&T, you don't see as many of the visiting fans that you may see in other stadiums, so far. So that's, you want to accomplish that. You want to keep that going. That's a bigger challenge because of the size of the stadium. But on the flip side of it, the way our fans travel on the road is extremely impressive. So, you love the white flags going and the great environment. Obviously, I know when you do play from another, from another opposing, whether it's Green Bay. People love coming to Dallas. I mean, that's part of the challenge. It's part of the challenge that you get from the opposition. People, the teams love to come here and play. I mean, so it's all part of having that target on you, and definitely with our record and what we've done to this point. So I mean, we acknowledge all those things. That's all part of the competition.
How did you have that conversation in training camp? You said you talked about it, saying we got to take care of home, or what was the conversation?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you have chances to make emphasis, throughout the week, and particularly based on the vibe and in the pulse of your football team. I didn't like our record last year at home. I think AT&T is a special place, and it's just look at our first 3 games. I mean, the crowds have been phenomenal. So we need to utilize that. We need to build off of that.
What's the biggest challenge is when you're a lineman and you're switching positions, whether you're going right to left or inside?
Well, I mean, footwork, communication, really being in sync with the guy next to you. The tackle position is obviously different than the guards and center position. It's, the closer you are to the ball, the more assignments you have. So, the skill and focus, that's why I go back to the earlier question about your reps, the footwork and, the number of reps that these guys have. Based on their time in training camp in the early part of the year was probably one of the bigger factors in our decision.
Mike, last week in advance of Minnesota, we asked you about Harrison Smith, who's such a great safety for them, and this week you have Justin Simmons. Can you tell us about how?
Yeah, very instinctive, a lot of the same characteristics. Really good on the ball. So you can see he's very comfortable in the scheme. There's a lot of, obviously formation and pre-snap identification. They do a really good, and I've always thought Ed and Vic were probably a little ahead of the game, and Lovie Smith. Those 3 guys always thought did a really good job of pre-snap disguise, particularly like holding the coverage, having the safeties drop. We call it drop from the sky. The way they come down and fit the front and impact. They're impactful in the run game, but also have the instinct and awareness to match concepts and so forth. And he's a great fit for that defense.
You mentioned the carryover, or their offense reminds you of the Chargers. Does their defense remind you because of the Staley and them coming together? Does that help you going back to what you guys had in week 2?
Just give it up for Todd. That's a hell of a question. Come on. No, you're not going to clap. You guys don't clap for one another? Okay. Rich, you need to work on that. Yes. Yeah, I mean, well said. I mean, that's an opinion, right? And, I totally agree with you. We used it in the, as far as the introduction earlier in the week. I mean, very similar to what the Chargers did, the carryover, and obviously Brandon and Vic, having time together. So absolutely.
Can we just quote him on that one?
Please do. Yeah, as much as possible.
Will Jarwin do anything today, and how has he been progressing coming back this year?
Slow to come back, so he won't participate today. So Blake will be out of practice today.
And how you guys run a lot of 12, and with those guys, how does it impact you? And is McEwen ready to come back?
Oh yeah, Jeremy and Sean will definitely will be a part of the 12 package practice reps today.
Mike, if things continue as they are with Dak and you do decide to play him on Sunday, would your expectation be that he can do everything? I know last week when we talked about it, he said if he played, he would want to be able to get outside the pocket and extend plays. Those things are important to him.
I mean, definitely. I mean, that was part of why he didn't play last week. So we wanted to make sure that he can play in the pocket, in and out of the pocket. Obviously, that's his style. That's the way he plays. I mean, that's the way we've trained. This offense is built around Dak Prescott. So, but yeah, that'll definitely be part of that final decision.
I always want to know, without that, what does that do for your feeling that you might have something special brewing here?
I mean, yeah, we feel like we got something really special going with our with our locker room and everything that's going on. But we're about beating Denver. I mean, I think the overview questions, the big picture questions are. You have to answer them. But yeah, you could feel this building all the way back in the spring. But we're doing something with it. That's the most important part. So we need to keep winning. This is the most important, game because it's the next game. A little, cliche there for you, but. Yeah, I love the way they go about it. Our practice wasn't the best practice, week last week. So it's important for us to really have a really good practice today because that's how we got here. These guys have really bought into the preparation part of it. They push each other, the energy at practice, the to keep competing, have we've had 2 periods, competitive periods, both Wednesday and Thursday, and sometimes you kind of usually knock that off, once you get into November. We're gonna extend that, and I think it just speaks to the way these guys push each other to keep that competitive spirit going throughout the week, and that's why the Friday stay program and the way we go about it's important, because it puts us back in the right workload capacity as we go into Saturday. So, yeah, I definitely feel strongly we have something special brewing here.
Even with Francis Bernard working back into practice, it just seemed kind of striking how few linebackers were on the field yesterday. How do you feel about your depth there without Jabril, and just does versatility play into that? Just seems like there aren't very many of them right now.
No, I'm fine with our numbers, the way we utilize them, and with Micah being able to play, back and forth, and we got safeties that can come down and play the down position too. So I think the body type on defense, particularly for as much sub defense we're in the multiple packages that we have in sub defense. Also, I think what you're going with is the special teams. So I do think we're in pretty good shape there. I think with Sean McKeon come back, definitely helps us gets us another. Long levered, 250-pound type body type for special teams.
What are your expectations for Michael Gallup this week?
Just want to see him get through a full week and then evaluate it. But I thought he had a really good week last week, so we'll just see how it goes. We're kind of up in the air on where he is.
With Gallimore, I think when he had his injury, it was 6 to 8 weeks. I don't know, for past that time frame. Has he had some sort of setback, or is it because you guys have played so well that you don't need to rush any kind of return?
I think the one thing that you really have to look at with Neville's injury is the position he plays. If you had a chance to see him work, he's hitting the sled, and so he's doing all those things. But he plays inside. He's a defensive tackle, so that's part of the thinking. As far as with his particular injury, if he was a perimeter player, he would be a lot closer to being ready to play.
When you talked about Teddy Bridgewater earlier, you mentioned his high completion percentage, but I know he's a guy that you saw a lot early in his career when you were Green Bay and he was Minnesota. I guess it's quite a comeback story after that.
Great comeback story. Obviously a devastating injury, and I remember when it happened and knowing people, at that organization and just the impact and how it was felt. So I think it speaks volumes to him as a person. I know everywhere he's been, everybody says nothing but great things about him, and he's got that, he's got the moxie, that that you look for in quarterbacks. So the field work. So he's doing really well.
You look at some of these guys you have coming back as almost trade acquisitions in a way, because you either not seen them play at all this year, or in DeMarcus' case, one game.
I wouldn't look at him. Now, that was not a very good question, Todd. I'm not trade. No, they've been here. No, I get it. I'm just kidding. All right. So, no, they've been here, and yeah, no, it's exciting, frankly. I think we speak on this quite often. I know when we have our personnel meetings, we talk about it. It's great having all these guys. It's really the chess match of how you're going to get them all up, and and time will answer that as we go through these games. But I think it's awesome that we have that many players. Particularly veteran players, established veteran players that will be coming back at some point.
Pats today, or
say again? Yeah.
Are you in Pats today?
Yeah, normal Thursday. It's a normal Thursday.
Thank you.
Thank you.